Hey, I'm Mara.
And I'm Tara. Together, we are the hosts of Scary Tales and Serials, a new podcast where two mom friends relax and talk about true crime because, face it, momming ain't easy. If you're looking for true crime stories, paranormal tales, cryptids, really anything that makes the hair on the back of your neck stand up, chances are you'll find it right here. Thanks for listening, and we hope you stick around for more Scary Tales and Serials.
The monster blood changed direction, still bouncing and quivering and leaving white stains on the grass like enormous round footsteps.
Joe, stop reading it. This is too scary for me.
You're right, it is too scary.
If only we could talk about Goosebumps in a way that isn't scary.
Well, guess what, nerds? There might be a podcast like that called Geesebumps.
Geesebumps?
Did you mean Goosebumps?
Maybe. Geesebumps is a comedy podcast based on the works of R.L. Stine. Hosted by me, Danielle, PhD.
And me, JoJo, PhD.
And me, Jeff, regular person.
Featuring goofs, funny voices, and the occasional critical thought.
Geesebumps!
Available on Podbean and everywhere else podcasts can be found.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the podcast. This is Evil, and you are listening to another horrifying new episode from Under the Apron. Halloween is here. Last year's Halloween episode ended up being a list of movies that I watched all month long, and I basically said which ones I liked. This year I did the opposite. I went ahead and did a questionnaire that I was due, a horror movie challenge. Lots of people answered. A few were in different languages, and I thank Google for making my life easier and able to translate. Yeah. I was told to watch movies that I've never seen before and have been around for decades, and then I was also told to watch ridiculous horror movies that I didn't even know existed. If I was doing a horrible horror movie night, tonight's episode would take the cake. We are finally on the final week of the horror season, so I'm going to take this opportunity to tell you all it's been a fun October. But it doesn't stop there. Just like last week's episode, I'm going to keep my inbox open, and anyone can recommend me a movie to watch and review on a bonus episode of the podcast. And if everything goes according to plan, I may start a second iteration of this podcast, my friends. Before we start this episode, I would like to tell you about the merch.
We've got some merch. Go buy our merch. We've got some merch. Go buy our merch.
Not only is our From Under the Apron podcast t-shirts on sale at TeePublic, but I also got fatherless behavior on the site as well. Yahweh. It was time to jump on the bandwagon of selling our catchphrases. And even if you don't get them, my friends and listeners of the podcast do. And it's the reason for these magnificent t-shirts. Wear those From Under the Apron t-shirts proudly, or buy stickers, or wear the amazing fatherless behavior and stick it to all the people that have called your names. Like those old hags. That's another inside joke. Anyway, our Hungarian friend, Culture Migrants, is back. Our Hungarian friend, Culture Migrants, is back. I went ahead and looked up his name also, and it means culture migrations. So he went ahead and said his favorite foreign horror, since almost all horror films are foreign to me, there should be one that was filmed in Matra, Severance. Directed by Christopher Smith, a team-building weekend in the mountains of Eastern Europe goes horribly wrong for the sales division of the multinational weapons company Palisade Defense when they become the victims of a group of crazed killers who will stop at nothing to see them dead. Favorite supernatural horror? He says, my favorite genre is supernatural horror. It's a hard choice, but let's say the Blair Witch Project. Directed by Daniel Myrick and Eduardo Sanchez, in search of a local legend. 3 bold amateur documentarians, director Heather, cameraman Josh, sound recorder Mike, hike into Burkesville, gloomy Black Hills forest to find a shadow, the fabled Blair Witch. Now, one long year later, after the fateful October of '94, there's still no sign of the student filmmakers, apart from the raw footage they left behind. Who knows what truly happened during their creepy 5-day journey into the mouth of madness? Was there indeed an intangible supernatural presence in the dark woods that led to the team's disappearance? Either way, the missing trio must have seen something. Could the nightmarish myth be real? I feel like I should tell them. Or should we just, let him find out on his own? Okay. So, yeah, I'm gonna let him find out on his own. Horror everyone loves, but you don't, says almost all new wave horrors are like this, but let's say Midsommar. It was a torture to watch. Not Midsommar. Not Midsummer. Midsommar. Get it right. Directed by Ari Aster. I feel like I said this last week already, but just in case, let's say it again. Danny, played by Florence Pugh, and Kristen, played by Jack Rayner, are a young American couple with a relationship on the brink of falling apart. But after a family tragedy keeps them together, Kristen invites a grieving Danny to join him and his friends on a trip to a once-in-a-lifetime midsummer festival in a remote Swedish village. What begins as a carefree summer holiday in the North European land of eternal sunlight takes a sinister turn when the insular villagers invite their guests to partake in festivities that render the pastoral paradise increasingly unnerving and viscerally disturbing. Favorite horror comedy? The best horror parody for me is Nazi Zombies. I scream laughing, especially at the final battle scene. I've seen this movie before. It's called Dead Snow, and it came out in 2009. Directed by Tommy Wirkola. Several friends take to the mountain and shack up in the wilderness of Back of Beyond to enjoy a little R&R together. Their peace is soon interrupted by a mysterious old man who informs them that during World War II, Nazi invaders of the area were brutal and harsh in their methods of control until, according to a legend, a villager's revolt drove the invaders up into the cold, dark mountains, where they perished. But now there's the rumor that they returned in the form of zombies. Evil Nazi zombies. Can't wait to shoot them. Originally, it was going to be called Rot Snow, or Red Snow in English, as an homage to the Swedish-Norwegian miniseries with the same name. The Nazi zombies in this film are a combination of typical zombies in popular culture and ancient Norse mythological beings known as Drog. A Drog is an undead being who would inhabit graves, often the graves of important men, as they often had treasures in them. A Drog would protect these treasures as they were their own. Disturbing horror film. Under the Skin be the most disturbing, even if it's horror. Directed by Jonathan Glazer. An alien entity inhabits the early form of a young woman who combats the road and streets of Scotland. In search of the human prey she came to plunder. She seduces her isolated and forsaken Megiddo victims into an otherworldly dimension where they are stripped and consumed. However, existence in all its complexity began to change the alien visitor. She begins to discover herself as human with tragic and terrifying consequences. Favorite zombie movie? He says, I have a lot of zombie movies. My other favorite genre, but the absolute top 10 is 28 Days Later by Danny Boyle. Animal activists invade a laboratory with the intention of releasing chimpanzees that are undergoing experimentation infected by a virus that causes rage. The naive scientists ignore the pleas of a scientist to keep the cage locked with disastrous results. 28 days later, our protagonist, Jim, wakes up from a coma, alone in an abandoned hospital. Sounds familiar. He begins to seek out anyone else to find London is deserted, apparently without a living soul. After finding a church, which had become inhabited by zombie-like humans intent on his demise, he runs for his life. Selena and Mark rescue him from the horde and bring him to date on the mass carnage and horror as all London tore itself apart. This is a tale of survival and ultimately heroics with nice subtext about mankind's savage nature. Yeah, running zombies I can't do. Come on, no. Never. I can't. Horror indie movie. He says, in my opinion, the best independent film horror is The Invitation, directed by Karyn Kusama. Will and Eden were once a loving couple. After a tragedy took their son, Eden disappeared. 2 years later, out of the blue, she returns with a new husband, and as a different person, eerily changed and eager to reunite with her ex, those she left behind. Over the course of a dinner party in the house that was once his, the haunted Will is griped with mounting evidence that Eden and her new friends have a mysterious and terrifying agenda. But can we trust Will's hold on reality, or will he be unwillingly callous of the doom he senses? And we have La Clementina's latest response. Day 26. Honestly, if you want to warm yourself up to the genre but are afraid of being too frightened or disturbed, horror comedy is always a good place to start. Or like campy 80s horror with a terrible looking fake blood and wild characters. It distracts from the spookies and you'll be able to just enjoy the ride. Guilty pleasure movie, no such thing. I have amazing taste. Maybe Spider Baby? It's a really weird and awkward 60s horror flick, but the aesthetics they created in black and white was really cool. Something about the general vibe of the film that I loved, even though the plot, dialogue, and editing felt extremely sloppy. Alright, let's go to Spider Baby, directed by Jack Hill, starring the only person I even knew from this movie, Sid Haig. In a dilapidated rural mansion, the last generation's degenerate inbred Mary family lived with the inherited curse of a disease that causes them to mentally regress from the age of 10 or so on as they physically develop. Sid Haig, huh? Does he ever not? Okay. The family chauffeur looks out for them and covers up the indiscretions. Trouble comes with greedy distant relatives and their lawyer arrives to dispose the family of its home. What the fuck? I'm done with Sid Haig. Any movies. Favorite remake? No, none of them. Remakes and reboots are almost always horrible compared to the originals, with a few exceptions. The film industry these days is trying to spend less and less on the quality elements that really make a film great, and the result is that many of them just fall short. No more original soundtracks, cheaper effects departments, paying fewer writers less money, etc., etc. It's best that we all start writing original stories we want to see instead of redoing everything that already exists.
Hi everyone, I'm Lisa.
And I'm Dawn.
And if you've ever watched a TV show and thought to yourself, oh my god, that season finale plot twist was absolutely bonkers.
Or seen a movie and thought, wow, I need to talk to somebody about this train wreck immediately.
Then we think you'll fit right in with our podcast, I Hate It, Let's Watch It. We watch TV shows like Riverdale and Emily in Paris.
And movies like Deep Water, Killer Sofa, Rubber, and Deadly Illusions. And we give them the total rinsing they deserve.
It's basically group therapy for movie masochists. So come check us out wherever you stream podcasts.
Hi, everyone. This is JJ, the co-founder of Good Pods. If you haven't heard of it yet, Good Pods is like Goodreads or Instagram, but for podcasts. It's new, it's social, it's different, and it's growing really fast. There are more than 2 million podcasts, and we know that it is impossible to figure out what to listen to. On Good Pods, you follow your friends and podcasters to see what they like. That is the #1 way to discover new shows and episodes. You can find Good Pods on the web or download the app. Happy listening!
Just like last week's episode where Kit Kat asked me to watch Tusk and tell her what I thought, this week I was asked to watch a movie so obscure I couldn't find it on Let Me Watch This or any of the free streams. There is a way to watch it on YouTube, but I would have to pay $9.99 for this movie. And I'm not doing it after finding out what the plot is about. So, nope. The Sparkly Experiment, or Barbecue Squirrel, as I like to call her, but she goes by Manda, the British lady. She asked me to watch and review this movie, as she likes to call it, the Possessed Dingle Dangle Movie. So I had to look it up. Googling movie about a possessed dick was not an easy task, my friend. It was until she told me that a porn star was in the movie as well, so I googled the only porn star that I knew would be in a mainstream movie, and lo and behold, I found this gem. I wasn't able to watch the movie at all because it's nowhere to be found. Nowhere to be found. But I did watch the trailer, and then I found it on Wikipedia. So I'm going to read to you what Wikipedia has to say about it because it describes the whole movie in its entirety. Alright, the movie is called One-Eyed Monster, and even looking up pictures of this monstrosity gives you nightmares. They have posters of this movie, and it's parodying almost every other horror movie. First, it's a silhouette of a giant dick. Alright, full disclosure, I'm going to call it Dingle Dangle just like our friend did. It's a silhouette of a giant dingle dangle. Because it's funny the way she says it. Dingle dangle. The entire poster is red. So I just assumed it's Nosferatu. Another one is the poster of the Exorcist with the dingle dangle standing outside. He is standing on the road outside. I can't describe what I'm feeling right now. E.T. the Extraterrestrial. E.T. the Extraterrestrial. Why did I have such a fucking hard problem saying this? With a giant dingle dangle riding the bike. Another poster I found was the egg from the Aliens movie with the green ooze on the bottom and the silhouette of the dingle dangle in the middle of the egg. I'm not making this up. And finally, my favorite poster. E.T. the Extra Testicle. I can't. And finally, my favorite poster is making fun of Cloverfield. The Statue of Liberty. But not with the dingle dangle. Instead, oh boy, how do I explain this? Instead, she has a pearl necklace. I'll let you Google what pearl necklace means. I didn't do this. No. The movie is called One-Eyed Monster and is from 2008. Directed by Adam Field, who has composed music for TV classics such as Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Beautiful People, and of all fucking shows, Dawson's Creek. Yes, that Dawson. Starring, in no particular order, just me saying these names out there, Amber Benson, Tara from Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Willow's girlfriend, Sometimes I think about two women doing a spell, and then I do a spell by myself. That was awkward. Okay. She stars as Laura, Jason Graham as Jonah, who's been on The Walking Dead, Creepshow, Horror Noir, Charles Napier as Mont, who voices the sheriff on Squidbillies. And a bit of trivia here: Charles Napier had a cameo in Austin Powers, The Spy Who Shagged Me, in 1999. In the movie, there's a joke about Dr. Evil getting away in a rocket that looked like a woman's husband's one-eyed monster. And then 10 years later, he stars in this movie. I'm not making this up, guys. Jeff Denton is Jim, who guest starred on 10 Days in the Valley, The Toy Box, and most recently in 2021 For All Mankind. Caleb Mayo as TJ, who just recently starred in the short film Raise the Dead. Bart Flesher as Lance, who played Flint in Sin City, A Dame to Kill For. Jenny Guy as Wanda. I don't know. Well, wait. Yeah, we do. Respected porn star of the 70s, Veronica Hart, whose only other movie credit is in Boogie Nights as Veronica. Well, okay, she's been in countless other movies, but the only mainstream movie, Boogie Nights, Veronica Hart stars as Veronica. Johnny Lee as Rock. Another porn star, Carmen Hart as Angel. Frank Knoll as the bus driver. I'm not gonna... There's a bus in this? Okay, no. Let's move along. Let's move along. Oh, Bang Bros. And the reason the movie's named One-Eyed Monster. Ladies, he has a master's in special education. Was a former high school teacher in New York City. He is a talented piano player and pipe organ by extension. He holds the Guinness World Record for appearing in more than 17,050 films. Has a rap single with DJ Polo called Freak of the Week that stayed on the Billboard Hot R&B and Hip Hop chart for nearly 27 weeks. He was a teacher. I'm still not over that. He was a teacher. He has a master's in special education, was a former high school teacher in New York City. 25% the star of the movie. The other 75%, jeez Louise, his dingle dangle. Ron Jeremy as Ron.
It's Ron's dick, minus Ron.
Synopsis is the synopsis of the movie. 10 people travel into the mountains of Northern California to shoot a porn movie. During a scene break early in filming, Ron Jeremy gets hit by a shooting star. In the following scene, his dingle dangle, now possessed by a sex-hungry alien, detaches itself, leaving Ron for dead. The remaining cast and crew theorize about the murdering penis vulnerability after climax. When it is limp and at its weakest, they hatch a plan to lure the dingle dangle into a neurotactile simulator and then circumcise it with an axe during its refractory period. I'm not gonna be able to get through this. I'm not gonna be able to get through this. So let's start explaining. Let's start what I just read on Wikipedia. On a snow-covered mountain, a bus, not that kind of bus, truck and a few cars arrive at a remote camp area to film a porno film. Oh, it is that kind of bus. The group is made up of professional porn stars Ron Jeremy and Veronica Hart, Nobis porn stars Rock, Angel, Wanda, and Lance, as well as the director and producer Jim, cameraman Jonah, gaffer, electrician, and sound guy TJ, and makeup script girl Laura. After being dropped off by the school bus driver who leaves them behind, the group settles in their living quarters for the next few days to shoot, while Laura talks with Ron about his past career days. 17,050 movies, guys. Yeah. The guys, Lance, Rock, and TJ talk about TJ's latest suck and squeeze device for carnal pleasure that TJ wants to market. While Angel and Wanda talk about their experiences on the porn sets, radio reports begin to describe a strange light in the sky that has been hovering over the mountains of the last several hours as Jim gets down to directing. Starting with the first scene with Ron and Veronica. During a break in filming, Jonah goes outside to get some more lights from the truck while Ron also goes out to relieve himself. Suddenly a strange light hits Ron, who then collapses to the ground. Jonah helps him up and they go back inside to finish filming the scene. Ron's acting strangely and begins to exhibit strange behavior as he begins performing in the sex scene with Veronica, who begins screaming in pain as Jim tries to yell, "Cut!" Ron continues to have rough intercourse with her. The guys are forced to pull Ron off Veronica as he goes into convulsions and collapses. TJ, Jeff, and Jonah try to help Veronica, who begins hemorrhaging and loses consciousness. The guys look over to help Ron and see that he's dead, but they also notice that Ron's legendary 9 3/4 inch dingle dangle is gone as well. In Angel's room, she is rehearsing her upcoming scene when the disembodied penis attacks her. Wanda walks in on this and runs out to inform Rock, Lance, and Laura.
There's a dick in Angel's mouth!
Yeah?
It's not attached to anyone!
Who run it in only to find the disembodied member gone and Angel dead, with a large and gory hole in the back of her head. Oh, man. Yeah, it went straight through her mouth. While everyone runs out to tell the others, Laura has an encounter with the disembodied dingle dangle, which attacks her. Holding themselves up in the main cabin, Jonah, Jim, TJ, Lance, Rock, and Wanda try to make sense of what is going on. Just when Laura walks in acting strangely. After the guys carry Ron's dead body outside, they debate on what to do since they are stranded there and no one has any signal for their cell phones. Rock wants to make a run for their cars to try to get off the mountain, but when he runs outside, the disembodied penis appears and shoves itself through him. When Jonah and TJ run outside in a futile attempt to save him, they are surprised by the appearance of a rugged mountain man named Mont, who brings them back inside to the main cabin. Resting, Jonah and TJ make the assumption that Ron's missing dingle dangle is possessed by some kind of alien force. Jeff suggests finding a way to kill it, while Laura, who continues acting strangely, wants to capture it. Lance and Wanda retreat to a nearby bathroom where he tries to calm down the growing hysterical Wanda over this unbelievable turn of events. Just then, the severe dingle dangle slithers in through a crack in the bathroom window and attacks them both. Saying it's slithering in. I'm uncomfortable. Jonah and TJ come up with a plan to capture the lethal creature by luring it through an open window, using a pair of women's panties borrowed from Laura to try to trap it with Jeff's suck and squeeze device.
We gotta kill it. Laura, I'm gonna need the panties you have on.
I saw the trailer. There was a stain on that panties. There was a stain on that. I swear, I saw a stain. It was arresting. Oh my god. Mons volunteers to kill it after he gives them a creepy but hilarious monologue about his encounter with a similar event back in Vietnam in the 1960s, where he saw his platoon getting killed by a disembodied penis that came from the body of his commanding officer. So it happened before in Vietnam. It wasn't an isolated incident, it's happened before. This guy has seen some shit. This guy has seen some stuff. And it's happened. Like, what the hell? How do you... Oh my god. TJ volunteers to help out and has Jonah lock him and Mons in the kitchen to make sure that if they fail, that Rock Dingle Dangle not be able to get them. But while their backs are turned, the disembodied Dingle Dangle slithers into the kitchen and strangles Mons to death, while it shoves itself with rapid speed through TJ, killing him. Oh my god. I was now sucking left and right. That's where Slither came from. Slither was first. This is like so 2000, I don't know. It was nearly. Jim panics and runs to the nearby bathroom only to find a dead and cocooned Lance and Wanda against the wall. Cocooned? Why are they cocooned? Oh, that's disgusting. Ew. You know why they're cocooned. In Nam, I just remember this thing slithering around. The dog turns into a butterfly. Panicking, he runs outside to the nearby barn and tries to start a snow speeder to try to escape, but the severe Dingle Dangle follows him in a super fast chase down the mountain where it knocks him off his snow speeder and then gruesomely slices him in two from the crotch to the top of his head as it burrows through the snow. This is the part where I was watching it on YouTube, also the trailer, and the thing is like a freaking worm. What is that? Tremors when they burrow from the bottom. uh, oh my god! And it just like goes into this guy Jim, and he's like, "Oh shit, that's fucking crazy." And then he split in half. Like, what? That was gruesome. That was, God. Yeah, he had an enlightenment. Back at the main cabin, the three survivors, an entanglement. Reba McEntire would have been a welcome addition to the Dingle Dangle movie. Yes, she would have. Back at the main cabin, the three survivors, Jonah, Laura, and the barely conscious Veronica, are beside themselves and wait. Jonah, after being told earlier by Mons about the location of an old radio antenna atop the nearby mountain, suggests they run to a nearby cabin, and that Mons told them about where they are is an underground passageway to the Radio Shack where they can radio for help. With Veronica having regained some of her strength, they make it to the passageway, which is apparently an old mine shaft. Son of a fish. And walk through the lung tunnel to make it to the Radio Shack where Jonah tries to get the radio to work. Only the severed Dingle Dangle follows them and lands on Laura. Uh-oh. Laura has landed on Laura. Jonah tries to swing at it with an axe, but the thing is much too fast and keeps evading his blows. Veronica then thinks of a way to fight it. She lies down on the floor and offers herself to the entity, which shoves itself between her legs. Oh my god. Veronica tells Jonah and Laura to run for safety as she will keep it occupied and uses her vaginal muscles to drain it out of its power. Oh man. Jonah and Laura flee from the Radio Shack cabin and down the mountain just as Veronica makes the severe dingle-dangle climax. Vagina squeeze. The monster explodes in a massive blast, destroying itself as well as killing Veronica, and blows up the radio cabin in a massive blast, covering the sky with millions of particles. Jonah and Laura seek shelter in a nearby shack where they huddle for the night. At dawn, Laura hears sounds of rain, but Jonah tells her that the rain is Ron. The remains of the monster are raining down semen on the entire area. Everyone's gonna get pregnant, I swear. Everyone's gonna get pregnant. Nobody. Not steaming as a Navy. At dawn, when the sounds had stopped, Laura leaves the cabin and a sleeping Jonah, where she ventures outside into a place in the snow where she seems to be distraught over the death of a one-eyed monster. Laura reveals a massive bulge in her abdomen as she is now impregnated by the Dingle-Dongle monster, which attacked her earlier and will now be the apparent breeding chamber to the one-eyed monster's offspring.
It's got a name. Ron.
What? There was a sequel? There was a sequel? Is there a sequel to this? Oh my god. And State Farm covers that because they've seen a thing or two. And that's it. I don't know what to say, except that I do hope you enjoyed this year's Halloween episode of me reviewing and talking about a possessed Dingle Dangle movie. We're back to regularly scheduled wrestling or regular shows about wrestling next week. As stated earlier, I'm going to try to do another podcast where I review obscure movies and try to post them on here as bonus content. How many people can people say they've been attacked by random dong? Bonus dong. As always, follow us on our socials and support us from Under the Apron on Instagram, Spotify, YouTube, the Threads. The Threads is now on desktop. I'm so excited. I can now leave Twitter freely. Speaking of Twitter, Apron_stories on the Twitter, just in case. Hey, we're still there. But just in case, it decides, Musk decides to, have us pay for it. No, I'm out. Not doing that. 14 years on that place. I'm not. Never paid for anything. More info on the links on where you can listen or watch in the show notes. Listen to us on Apple, Spotify, or any other audio media you can listen to podcasts on. And because y'all asked for it, we have the merch.
We've got some merch. Go buy our merch. We've got some merch. Go buy our merch.
It is live, and on TeePublic, I have two options available. One, we got the new podcast logo from Under the Apron with the ring lights shining, the word in the middle of the ring, and the other option is your choice of shirt. Get it if you like. Laugh along with us. Go along with the joke. Get your Fatherless Behavior t-shirts, all in the name of fun. Fatherless Behavior Network is coming soon. Who knows? Wear them, display them just because you show signs of fatherless behavior. Link will be in the show notes. Don't forget to rate us and leave us a review. And if you feel you want to do a little bit more, go to patreon.com/From Under the Apron podcast. Support us on the Patreon. Become a top tier patron and get patron privileges. Oh yeah, that will shout you out at the end of every episode. I'm not doing the imitation again. Babel B, Menace Smiling, Damien H, Chanel from the Nerds in Texas podcast, Cloudy November from the Nose Sentence podcast, Weezy Soup from the Life of 30-Year-Old podcast, I Beloved Psy from the Sweet Life Pod. I'll have the links to these podcasts in the show notes so you can check them out. Love them. Also check out darkfreecreations.com for your scented candle needs. You'll love them. Mini Mommy Life, Black Heart Beauty, OMG It's Ren, Hina Time, Messenger Stupidity, Rabbit, Collector of All Things Sentimental, Celestial Moon Goddess, Toasted Bagel, Swifty Ever After, Lisa's Journey, The Sparkly Experiment, Lily Linguini, Age of Shadow 666, The Mufia is here. Ivan Campo Music, Marijuana Barbie, Dissolve, Existence, Dizzy, We Miss You, Sad Ride Boy, Queen of the Underworld, Wow Stark. All I gotta say is, wow! Roman J, Mariah J's, Little Miss Confidence, Professor Milo, Greenery, I the No One, Lost Shadow 88, Plummy Chummy, Intrepid Renegade, or Gatorade, however you like to spell it or say it. He wants a little. He wants his own fatherless behavior, but he wants to change the name of fatherless to bottomless. He wants the bottomless behavior VIP package. Don't ask why. Knacked 182, Pixel Has Cake, Dahlia, Pulse Fire Mark, The Hot Couple You Know, Skull Shell, ABGTHTX. That's a lot of letters. Lindsay A 87, Killing Kills Joyce World. Hey, it's me, your favorite chick. Jaded Samia, Kit Kat Trouble. Narcissist, Just Another Dude, Double Mint Bitch, Life 1995. Thank you guys for supporting this podcast. Patreon.com/From Under the Apron Podcast. Get your name shout out. Support the podcast. Check out the show notes for links to other podcast videos you heard on this episode. Send us a message of your favorite wrestling stories, horror stories, questions, comments, ratings, or requests at our email. It is FromUnderTheApron@gmail.com. Thank you for listening, joining the live, staying, the gift, and being a huge part of this community. Tell your friends. Join us next time for more stories, movies, and TV show reviews, as well as wrestling-related stories when we come to you from Under the Apron. Catch this dingle dangle outside. How about that?